After a very active and productive week in Ukavik, it was time to go home. Before we left the research station, we needed to stop at the hangar to return all the equipment we borrowed while there. This was the last time we got to see the equipment for some time, so we took the time to get one last ride. Our next stop was heading to the Anchorage airport, where we fueled up before going on our 12-hour trip home. Although we left the interrogator in Ukavik to study the data from the DAS and DTS cables, the protective case we brought it in still needed to come back, so it made for a comfy ride. During our week in Ukavik, we were able to accomplish a lot. We spooled all of our DAS and DTS cables into sizable chunks that we could carry and then installed 2 kilometers of cable using only shovels while braving the harsh Alaskan climate. We also left enough time in our trip to test these cables using a sledgehammer to ensure they were picking up on vibrations in the local area. Using this method, we were also then able to get our first look at data inputs and studying the readouts from the interrogator. The DAS and DTS cables will be taking in data that our team will continue to study even while we are outside of Alaska. The DTS cables will be studying the temperature of the soil across the tundra that we place it in. This will allow us to study the temperature changes going on in the soils as the climate continues to change and affect the underlying permafrost. The DAS cables will give us information on the underground vibrations occurring in the area, which allows us to study the mechanical properties of the soil. This will give us better insight into the soil's ability to support things like the infrastructure of the town. Over time, we will then be able to see how these changing temperatures and melting permafrost are affecting the soil's strength. For some of us, this was our first trip to Alaska. Getting to visit the town allowed us to see the extent of the issue and how the town has been able to adapt to the changing conditions of the soil. Through our continued studying of the data, we are looking to better understand how the altering climate is affecting the soil in the area and be able to better prepare these communities for the future. This summer, we are going to return to Ukavik to further our research on the soil in the area. We are planning to perform maintenance on the DAS and DTS cables and then test them by sending small seismic waves to make sure they are continuing to study the ground conditions properly. We will also be taking small samples of the soil from Ukavik and then taking them back to our labs to perform geotechnical evaluations on them. By doing this, we can better understand the mechanical properties of the soil and better evaluate the soil conditions in Ukavik. Until next time.